Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the BIM workshop for the architect. And this is the second seminar for people who would like to know more about BIM. And luckily we have Eugenio to have with us this time again, and he will be teaching us how we can dive into the software. And it is going to be a workshop that's mainly focusing on a sustainable project development, and you will after the class you will learn about the best practice in advanced energy modeling by using this course material that's already already prepared for you. That's in the invitation email, which you can find, and also download a trial version of the ArchiCAD for you to try. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions on downloading the document or the ArchiCAD itself, feel free to leave a message in the chat or just email us afterwards. Maybe I hand over to Eugenio to start. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you very much. I'm going to start to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? The
yes.
PowerPoint presentation? Okay, good. So yeah, as Vivian introduced, today we're going to learn about sustainable project development using ArchiCAD, okay, using BIM workflow. Thank you guys. Thank you, Vivian, Claire, Winston, and everyone from AIA Hong Kong and the RIBA Hong Kong chapter for having me presenting today. So first introduction about myself. I think for those who were in the meeting last time, they already know I'm an architect by background, have my master's degree in architecture and urbanism, and recently in the professional point of view, I've been developing projects in Southeast Asia and in Europe, in other countries. But I always had a focus on BIM technology. And that's why I ended up becoming a BIM manager as well. And now I'm working for Graphisoft, promoting our BIM workflows. So today in this sustainable project development workshop, we're going to learn a workflow in ArchiCAD, which is using the energy evaluation tools, okay, to evaluate our project from the energy consumption point of view. And in order to do this energy evaluation, let me just briefly make an introduction of how it works. ArchiCAD, what it does is works with two things, which is the building geometry data. Okay, so it analyzes the building envelope from the construction point of view, from the material physical properties point of view. Okay, and it also uses the environment and the climate values of the location where we have the project. So ArchiCAD has all this data inside the project, inside the file, and will analyze this data to generate detailed result sheets showing the energy consumption, in which the energy is spent, and how it behaves, how the building is behaving from the energy consumption point of view. So in order to learn how this works, we're gonna do two exercises, okay? Since it's a very short workshop, it's going to be a small box, like just the minimum architecture entity that we can think about to see how this energy evaluation works, and then we're going to apply some of these things we're going to learn into a small house, okay, a bit more developed project. So, in order to start, let's start with a small box, and I'm going to use this exercise to make a small introduction of a few elements about this energy evaluation tool, which is thermal blocks, climate data, and operational profiles. So now I'm going to go into ArchiCAD, okay? And if any of you wants to follow the exercise and try to do by themselves with the files that that we share with you, please open the file that is called CIC box energy eval, okay, which is this one. If you open it, you will see the 3D window, this funny white box. But then, of course, it's not bad. Actually, I'm going to do it now. If any of you has opened this file, it will be also good to open the other file as well. So we're going to jump from one to the other. Okay, so we can go to open, and we're going to select the other file, which is called energy eval directly without the box energy. Okay, this is the link I share with you to download these two ArchiCAD projects. Okay, when opening another file, just be aware of selecting this little box that says launch a new instance of ArchiCAD, so we can have both files open. Otherwise, if I don't click this box, only one file will be open, the other one will close. So let's open the other file that will open as we speak. So first of all, when you open this project, probably you won't have any other window open, any other palette. So what we need to go is to Window and go down to Palettes and open the palette that says Energy Model Review. Okay, so go to Window, Palettes, Energy Model Review. And when we open this palette, we'll see something like this. Maybe the palette is bigger. When you open it, let's just try to make it a bit smaller. Okay, and okay, the other project just opened, the little house we're gonna use afterwards. So again, as I was saying, let me introduce a bit about the energy evaluation. So once we open this window, we have, first of all, these tabs here, these three tabs. This is thermal blocks, structure, and openings. Thermal blocks are basically the thermal spaces, okay? Well, they're the spaces of the project that will have a set of requirements of hydrothermal comfort, okay? Which means that they will have the requirements of how, what is the temperature and the conditions that they need to have a comfort for the users of that space, and then how we're gonna achieve that comfort. So if you select the thermal blocks, first of all, we have only here residential, okay? Because it's a box that has one space that is residential. If we click here, we have two tabs, okay, which is in the way we represent the information in the schedule. So I'm going to jump from one way to the other to show different information. This one is the listing preview. This one is just showing everything in flat, like a flat list. If we go to the tree view, inside this residential thermal block, we have one item here that it says 05 zone. Okay, so if I select this zone and I click here on this little icon that says show select item in 3D, when I click here, the 3D window changed, and the only thing I see is if I don't select anything in this dialog, and I click here on the white, I just see like a very rough line sketch of the project, because what it's trying to show is mainly the thermal blocks. So when I select one thermal block, in this case we have only one, it shows an orange box. Orange because it's the color of the thermal block type, which is residential. And as you see, if you, for example, click and turn off this visualization system and turn it off and on, you will realize that this space, this zone number 5, already has in consideration the windows and the doors, okay? So in this exercise, I'm not gonna model, okay, this project. I'm just gonna show how we work when we have a small project already modeled, okay? And Thursday, we're gonna do an exercise to model in ArchiCAD, okay? So we'll learn also a bit of that. But in this case, let's work only with energy evaluation tools. So as I was saying, these are the thermal blocks, and the thermal blocks are basically, as I was saying, like a block that will have some requirements. In this case, for example, when I select not the zone, but I select the thermal block type residential, here we have below the requirements in terms of energy supply, okay, or the elements that are going to contribute to create this comfort hydrothermal conditions. So we will apply ventilation, cooling, and heating, okay, with different systems of each of these energy types of supply. And here we can add, in this little icon, we can add more ways, more systems to reach this comfort zone of this space. So we can add other heating systems, cooling systems, and ventilation systems, okay? But right now we only have only these 3, okay? And then apart from the thermal blocks and the energy systems that we use to accomplish the comfort zone, we have also this little icon here that says residential, okay? This is the operational profile. What is the operational profile? So if we go to this little icon here, which is this wheel here, which is like the settings icon, and we click into operational profile, Operational profile, and I'm not going to go into much detail, is basically all sort of type of spaces that will have different requirements and different operational conditions. So for example, if I select, booking hall or, a classroom, here we have in schedule, it says school day. We have a schedule also for the days that this space is used. So this is how we use the space and which days or which time during the year we're going to use the space, and we're going to have these comfort conditions. So for example, if I go down to residential, which is the one we're using, you will see that we have the schedule called habitation, and we're going to use this space every day because it's residential. So every day there is people inside this residence. Okay, so if I select this schedule habitation, I say edit daily schedule. Here I just want to highlight the basics of how this works. This space has certain requirements, which is depending on the time of the day. For example, from midnight to 7 a.m., we want to set that the maximum temperature on that space is 24 degrees and the minimum is 18. But of course, if we go ahead on the clock during the day, okay, and we go from 7 a.m., it's 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., there is no maximum or minimum because there's no people in this residence, okay? This we also can customize because we can say, no, in some houses there's people, some houses not, okay. We can customize this as we want. But what we create is the operational profile to understand when do we need to supply energy. Okay, when do we turn on the heating or the aircon or the ventilation system? Okay, so that's how the operational profiles work. And the last thing I'm going to show is in this icon here, we're going to go to the climate data. So the climate data is depending on the location of the project. So in ArchiCAD, you can set a location, and ArchiCAD will receive the data from certain sources, okay, to understand how is the climate on that area. So we can go here from months to weeks to days, okay? So the climate or the location would affect how the project behaves. So let's analyze how is the energy behavior of this box. Just before we click on the start energy simulation of these conditions, let me show you that if we click in this icon here that says 3D cutaway, if I click on it, we cut our model in half, and here we can select this zone, okay, which is the space that is going to be, we're going to evaluate, okay, the conditions of that space. And we can see that this box, first of all, it has all this building shell, which is very basic. It's basically a bunker, okay? It's a bunker, it has just concrete walls. So we're gonna see how is the behavior of this box of concrete walls, okay? In this particular location that I'm gonna show you now where it is. And we're gonna run the first analysis energy simulation. So we just saw the introduction of the things that affect the energy analysis of in ArchiCAD. And now we're just gonna run the energy analysis of the simple box, okay? So before we run an energy analysis, we need to close the cutaway. And we always need to go here to this icon on the top that says energy model update options. And we're gonna click on it and we're gonna go to update zones. And once this dialog appears, we just need to click on this tab that says update all zones. And we have only one, okay? So when it's updated, we can click from time to time, just in case we have done any change. And then we're gonna say update energy model review. So once everything is updated, let's click on start energy simulation. So ArchiCAD is running all the calculations and we're gonna get these results. So just to go to the basics and the basic information that we can obtain here, because of course, this is a short workshop, so I will just go to the key point. These are the key values of the project. So as you can see, is the project location, what affects the name of the project, and then the climate data source, okay, and then building geometry data, building shell performance, okay, and other values. And then here is the project energy balance. What it means here is the energy that we get from the environment and the energy that we supply to the environment, okay? And then the thermal blocks themselves, the volume and the gross floor area. And then here we have a lot of values that they might sound a bit confusing, but to go straight to the point, the main two values we need to use are these, quantity and primary. Quantity is the amount of energy we need to spend on heating, cooling, hot water, ventilation, lighting appliances, on whatever other systems you put here. Okay, in this case, we have 8,400 more or less kilowatts per hour during the year. Okay, this is a standard way of calculating the energy that a building needs during the year. And here we have much more. We have like 23,000 because this primary evaluates, and again, I don't want to overextend much, but evaluates all the energy that is needed also to be supplied on the energy source. So, you know, if all these systems come from the network of the city, or they have a, you know, a energy supply of some sort, okay, some energy grid, this also counts all the energy that needs to be supplied from the source completely, so we can provide this energy on our house. Okay, so that's why the value is much higher. But then we have also other data that is more or less the same, but it's based on other premises. But let's say that we want to go to the last schedule. Okay, we want to work with these rough numbers. One is the primary energy that we need to supply, which in this case is almost 23,000 kilowatts per hour from the moment we switch on the button of the aircon on the heating, and the energy we need to consume to have comfort in our space. And these are the CO emissions that we have throughout the year. Okay, so we can save this PDF, this report, and we can go, in this case, I'm going to save a few reports that we're going to export here. Okay, let's create a folder. I'm going to say reports, energy reports, so we can compare. Okay, so we can say evaluation report 1. Okay, save it here, and let's close. Well, if any of you knows a bit of energy evaluation, or has studied or does it in your daily work basis, you will know that 23,000 kilowatts per hour per year, it's a lot. Okay, so it means that this bunker that we have is not efficient at all. And why is that? So let's select this zone. Okay, in this dialog, and if we go to structures and I click this visualization system, here we can highlight all the different parts of the building shell, okay, that enclose our space. And when we select it, we can see here information of those elements. So first of all, this wall, for example, we have the area, the thickness, we have the building material, the construction material, and we have the U value, okay, transmission value, which is 3.19. And again, if you know a bit about this, have a rough idea of energy and evaluation or energy analysis, you will know that this value is pretty high. Means that there is a lot of transmission. This element is not insulating from the environment around, so it's not efficient at all. Okay, and then also we have the same information if we apply to the openings. Okay, here we have opening, structure, and thermal block. So what are we going to do now? Okay, let me just regenerate. Sometimes the 3D view gets a bit stuck. So now we're going to do something which is upgrade the construction envelope of our box, and we're going to do another energy analysis. So you guys, we're going to see how this system works when we change the construction system of our project. So first of all, let me go, here. Let's do something. Let's active also this cutting plane. So I'm going to show you how it works. So I'm going to select the slab of the roof, which now is a slab of concrete, very inefficient from the insulation point of view. And I'm going to change the way it's built. So here's one icon when we select the 3D window. Before that, actually, sorry, before we go into this, I want to show you something different. If you click in this tab that says ground floor, here we'll see the floor plan of this box, okay? And if we go to options, project preference, project location, I want to show you this before we do any change. Project location is a menu that describes where is the location of this project. So first of all, shows where is the north, okay? And then we have here some coordinates of the location of our project. But if we click in this icon of the planet, we can choose a predefined city. So as you can see, the first energy analysis that I did was in Madrid, okay, my hometown. Okay, but I want to do something before I change the shell of the project. I want to select Hong Kong. Okay, so here on the cities, I was clicking here on this icon, okay, that is like this little earth map. We're going to select Hong Kong. I'm going to just change the location. The location of the project is based on this point, which is the origin, this little cross that we have here. So this cross, if we go here to, again, to project preference, project location, and we have one option here that is showing Google Maps. So now that we've chosen Hong Kong, if I say showing Google Maps, ArchiCAD will open those coordinates in Google Maps, and you will see that this project now is located near the Ocean Park. Okay, we can set up the coordinates in a much accurate way instead of selecting the city from the menu. Okay, so we just input here the coordinates we want, and we will go specifically to that location, right? Okay, so let's press OK, and let me just run the analysis once again, just with a different location. Okay, so now that I've changed the location, the only thing I need to do is to go to this icon of refresh and say update zones. I will update all zones and click again, update the energy model review. And then let's start another simulation. So the same box, if it's located in Hong Kong, look what happened. If we go to the values, well, first of all, you can see here that it doesn't say climate data source. It used to say Madrid, Spain, something like that. Now it says somewhere else, which is probably the server where it gets the data of the climate. Okay, but also let's go down here and look at this. The primary energy, the total energy we were using, it used to be, I think it was like 23,000 kilowatts. Let me go to the folder where I have the first report. Almost 23,000. Now we have reduced to 15,000. Probably because the climate in Hong Kong is more warm, it's less cold in winter, so it seems that we need less energy to achieve that comfort. Okay, so let's save this report as well. Okay, and let's say 1, but we can put between brackets Hong Kong. Okay, so you can see that they analyzed the system. This engine already understands the changes that have been done by the location. Okay, so as I was saying, now we're going to optimize this concrete box. Okay, so in order to optimize that, let's activate this cutting plane. All right, and let's select first this slab. Okay, you can select on 3D by clicking on it, and there's this little icon here that says structure, basic, or composite. Right now it's a basic slab of concrete. Now I'm going to select the option that says composite. And what will happen is that this slab will become a composite, which in ArchiCAD is a composition of different materials. Okay, how we build in reality. We build with different materials on the same slab or in the same wall. So now we have by default this one that says flat roof, that as you can see, it has a different concrete structure. It has insulation here. It has some gravel on the top. It has some finished plaster. Okay, so we're gonna improve that U value of this element. So let's do the same with this slab. On the bottom, let's select composite system, and by default, it's selected concrete floor insulated with parquet, which means that this is the layers that we have. Now, ArchiCAD has a smart way of the building materials to interact with each other. So automatically, some of them are subtracting to each other depending on the priority. But here you can see that we have an insulation below the foundation, okay, like a base insulation material where we then pour the concrete, and then we have another insulation layer, and then we have the finished floor. Okay, so we're improving these values. And what I'm going to do now is select, we're going to close the 3D cut plane. I'm going to select this wall, and because the groups are activated, I'm selecting the 4 walls. And I'm going to do the same. This is a simple wall of concrete material. So I'm going to select in this icon where it says basic composite complex profile. Exactly, here it says that. You can see on the screen. And I'm going to select composite. So by default, because I had already set up in this file, this composite is a 140 block insulated cavity plaster. It's a description of the wall type. And how does it look like when we cut the 3D? Look, we have a block work. Okay, the structure, we have a thick insulation, quite thick. Okay, and then we have a ventilation chamber in between the insulation and the brick that is on the outside. Okay, then of course the outside is It's painted in white, but we can go in details later. And now we're going to change the parapet. This is a big chunk of concrete. So let's select the parapet in the outside. Okay, all the elements are selected. And let's change now the construction system to this. Instead of saying composite, there is one here. The third one is basic composite complex profile. So we select the complex profile. Nothing changed because we need to select which complex profile we want. And I want you to select parapet, parapet 01. And if we click on that parapet 01, look what happens. The whole geometry has changed. We even have like a cladding system around the top. And if we activate the cutting plane, look, this parapet element, okay, has this section where we have the insulation going around, okay? All these elements are very easy to customize in ArchiCAD, and we can modify them anytime. But right now, I just want to show you with the elements already set, how the building behaves from the energy consumption point of view. So all the building materials are connecting between each other, but just as a note, if we develop this further, here we have this finish going through this insulation layer, which is not good. Okay, we'll have to work out that. And we have also here, we could also optimize the way we have this insulated because we have here some cold bridge, okay? Some temperature bridge that is creating, the insulation is not continuous. So we could work out this detail a bit. And all that will influence in the energy analysis of our project. So now that we have optimized the shell, okay, let's do what we did before. We're going to select update zones. We're going to update all zones. Okay, we click just one or twice, nothing happens, but the system is updating the zones, and then update energy model review. Once we have done that, let's click again in start the energy simulation, and we will see the result. So we go to see the main values that we received for this exercise. Look at this. Primary energy, 4,400. Compared to what we needed to apply before in Hong Kong, okay, it was almost 15,000. So we have cut by almost 70% the amount of energy that we need to use just by improving the insulation and the transmission value of the envelope. So I think is what we need to have in consideration when we do our project. So let me save this PDF, okay, and I'm going to call it as before. We're going to call it report to Hong Kong PDF. Okay, just save it to have for the record. But let me show you something. If I select this zone and I go to structures, look at the walls now. When we select this, let me activate this view. When we show the different closing walls, we can see that the U value before was 3 point something. Now it's 0.25. Okay, so we have reduced the U value, which is the transmittance, okay, by adding more layers, okay, different materials that behave better from the insulation point of view. Okay, so some of you might know a lot about this topic. Some of you may this might sound strange, but it's how it works when we want to evaluate a project. Anyway, I'm going maybe a bit fast. If anybody wants to interrupt or any of the organizers see a message and wants to interrupt me, please interrupt me anytime because I don't see the list of the chat of the people. So I'm just keep going. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt. Is it you were gonna have after the introduction of this? Are you gonna leave it for us to try, or you gonna go slowly, or?
Well, the idea, yeah. I mean, I thought that you guys, if you had the files open, you could have been already following. I don't know if maybe I'm going too fast. I mean, I'm not with the files open. I'm not really doing much here. I mean, if this video is going to be recorded, you also can follow. But I thought that those with ArchiCAD open could have be following already.
Yeah, so don't worry, guys. It will be recorded. So if you can't follow, you can see the recording afterwards. We'll put it online and send you guys the link.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I may have going a bit fast, but yeah, anyway. Let's keep going, because if it's going to be recorded, I think that's the best. We can then all of us follow.
But maybe, I don't know how many of the audience are the new user, so maybe it's worth introducing the interface a bit of like maybe like a very basic, because
Yeah,
might be
yeah,
the first
yeah.
time using the software.
Okay, I see. No, I mean, I was just trying to go straight to the point, and that's
Yeah,
what I was
sure.
showing
Maybe
how to.
after you finish this introduction, then we can go to the basic and teach everyone how we use the software a bit.
Yeah, but how to use the software itself, this of modeling and building. That's the workshop on Thursday. That's why here
Sure.
I was just clicking only on the items I want to show, like this menu, and navigating a bit. That's what I was doing at the beginning, introduction of that interface. The one is needed for this energy evaluation. But then, of course, will be a overview of how to model in ArchiCAD on Thursday. In any case, just to understand, I mean, 1 hour is never enough to do much. So anyway, since I knew that this was going to be recorded, I think that those that want to see, then they can take with calm, see the video, and they can perform by themselves, because the video is there in the files. You guys have them. And anyway, I'm going to leave my contact to everyone who wants to know a bit more. So apologize if I go a bit fast, but I think at least we can see, important is to see the value, and that's why I want to compare the different results, so you guys understand that the program, it does really show reliable data when we change the conditions, we change the climate data, we change the envelope, and we change the construction. Okay, I think that's the most important idea that we need to remember. Then how to do it, we just watch the recording.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, yes, so I show that, you know, the different elements of the project have improved. And now what I'm going to do, as I have here on this small presentation, we upgrade the construction envelope. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to add a couple of windows, and we're going to do another energy analysis. So in order to add the windows, what I'm going to do is go into this tab that says ground floor here. Okay. And this is our project. And I want you to go to the this icon here on the toolbox on the left that says window. So if you click in window, here on the top, we have a lot of settings of the window that we can change. But what I want you to do is to click here in this icon, or even clicking on the window. We keep the mouse clicking for 1 second or 2 seconds, and this menu appears. And there's one window here that is a favorite. It's like a predefined window with certain settings. So this is the one I want you to use. I want you to do a double click in this window, and then those settings will be applied. As I said, here we have the icon of the window, and we can even click in this little arrow and open the favorites and select the one we want. So how do we use the window tool? And again, I'm just gonna show briefly how it works. Once we have selected the window we want, we come here on the wall and we hover our mouse on the edge outside face of the wall. And I want you to go even to this, you know, click on the intersection in between the window that exists there already and the wall. And we do one click, and then the window is placed, but ArchiCAD is asking me towards where I want this window to open. So I just can click in the outside. Okay, any of these sides, doesn't matter, just click on the outside, not in the inside. And once we've clicked like that, the window is placed, and I'm going to do the same on this wall. Okay, but in order to do this, if I come here and I go to this point, this window will be on top of this window, because you can see the preview of how the element is going to appear on the screen. So I just want to change the insertion point of this window to this one here. We have here another insertion point, and then the window will be inserted in this other side. So if I do one click here, and I click one of these two sides, but always to the exterior, the window will be placed. So now press on the arrow here or press escape. So we don't have the window tool open anymore, but I can select the window tool, and I can click on the window. And now, once we've clicked like that, the window is placed. So now press on the arrow here or press escape, so we don't have the window tool open anymore, but I can select the window tool, and this window. So I can come here, select somewhere on the window, over the window. So we can select the window object. And if you click in any of these black dots, this pet palette appears. So in this pet palette, we're going to do select the option drag and just move the window. I'm going to move it like 0.6, which is like 600 millimeters. So we just need to input the numbers with the keyboard of the computer. And I'm going to select this window here, click on it, just one click on this black dot. And because this option is already selected, the option that's drag on this little palette that is open, and I'm going to drag it towards this direction. And I'm going to say 1.5. So I have placed two windows in the plan that if I go now to the 3D window, here we have this tab on top that says 3D window. When I open the 3D, you will see that the windows are there. So how is the energy evaluation of this box with all these windows? So let's go back to refresh the spaces and the energy model. So first I'm going to click update zones, update all zones, and I'm going to click in update energy model review. And once that's updated, let's start our energy simulation. So in a few seconds, the new updated energy simulation appears, the new report. If I scroll down to see the main data that I'm looking for, now we see that we have jumped higher. We need more energy to apply to the project because these windows, they have worse insulation than the walls that we have. So now we need more energy because we're losing energy against the outside. So that's why it's almost 8,400. If I go to the report I had open before, the one that is number 2, remember that it was almost 4,400, and now we have doubled up because the insulation of those windows is very poor. So I'm gonna save this one, call it report number 3, save it. Okay, try to save it already. And now what I'm gonna do, now I want to improve the insulation of this window. So how do I do that? So if I go to openings in this menu and I click, let's see, it's better to visualize this menu as a list. I'm going to select, all these windows as we had also with the construction elements. If I move here in this tab, we'll see that we have a lot of data of the surface, of solar analysis, perimeter, and here we have the values, okay, of the glazing and the opaque parts, which is the frame, which are the frame of the window. So I want to change these values to improve the windows we have. Okay, so I'm going to select all the elements of the list, okay, just like this. And if I scroll to the right, you will see next of the value that says total area, there is this little button with 3 dots that we can click on it to change how the windows are built from an energetic point of view. So if I click there, I can see that by default, we had selected a glazing double basic, which is not very efficient. The U value is 2.8. So I want to go to the one that says glazing triple. And I'm going to select the best one, Xenon Fill Clear Low E. Okay, so again, these are generic types that we can modify the values of them. Okay, so I'm just going to select the best glazing, and then on the frame wood here below, instead of the basic, I'm going to select also one that says ultimate. So I'm improving a lot the values of these materials. Of course, these values, you can import them from manufacturers, from products, from suppliers that they will supply different windows with different performance. So we can put those values, the values of our real project, to do energy simulation. So I'm going to press OK. Now, if we go to the U values, we will see that before we had 2.8, 2.5. Now we have 0.7, which is a much lower transmittance, so it's much better. Okay, so this is the way I have improved all the windows that we have in the project. Okay, if I show this visualization system and I select all the windows, even the door, we have improved the values. Okay, so once again, if I click on update zones, update all zones, okay, the zones are updated. So the zones are reading the data of the shell of the project. And now I'm going to update the energy model review. Okay, and now let's do another energy simulation. So ArchiCAD is computing all the different values that we have input before. And what happens when we go to the main value that we are analyzing now? Now is 6,754, which, if you remember, is lower, not as good as the one we had before, 4.4, but it's better than the one we had. So by improving the windows and the doors, instead of 8,400 almost, we have a bit less than 7,000, but we're saving here like almost 1,400 kilowatts per hour per annum. So it's already quite a lot energy we're saving. Okay, so the money we're saving also CO2, 262 kilograms of CO2 that we produce, we're producing much less, 211. So we're optimizing this. So now the last thing we're going to do in this exercise is we're going to optimize the windows. We did it already. And we're going to optimize the shading. So where are we going to optimize the shading? So one of the aspects of the windows that we have here, there's one column that says solar analysis. Okay, if I open, let me open this menu so we can see. These are the different windows of the project. Okay, so we can see it clear. Let's switch to this energy vision. So all these windows, okay, we have here the solar analysis. So the new windows we have created, okay, and also the door, because the door is not a glazing system, doesn't have a solar analysis. But these two windows that were at the beginning of the corner, they had something that says done, means that the solar analysis was done already. Okay, was done already on the file. So what I'm going to click, I'm going to show here is, I mean, to make sure that this is updated, we should click on the option that says recalculate. But recalculating the solar analysis is something that takes some time and you will have to wait a few minutes. So I will recommend you to do it now. Can do it later if you're curious. But every time we change something, we should recalculate. But you know, the update of the zones and the energy model is super quick, but the sun analysis takes time. So I'm just going to open it. Okay, if I open the analysis, this is what I want to show you. So we have here a table that shows percentage of glaze area exposed to direct sunlight. So here we see that throughout the whole year, we have here the year on the bottom, and here we have in this schedule on the vertical side, the hours. We have this amount of hours every day of sun impact. What is the problem of having the sun impacting directly the glazing? So if we go to this icon here on the top, we have open here in this one, we open the next one, we have the solar gradiated glaze surfaces. So this diagram, what it shows is the gaining of energy, of heating energy that the building is gaining by getting the sun on the glass. If you have studied this at some point, you know that when the sun impacts the glass, it's making the glass become more hot, but also the inside space is having this so-called greenhouse effect, because the heat that it goes into the room cannot go out. So it's heating a lot of the room. So for example, we want to have a lot of gaining in a cold climate, but in Hong Kong, we don't want to have a lot of gaining. So we want to put shading in our glazing systems, okay? We want to shade it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add shading to these elements, okay? Then we're gonna update this, but because this takes time, update the solar analysis, okay? We're gonna update it while we go into the next exercise, okay? So it's gonna be updating on the background, okay? And we're gonna be able to see the results later. Just bear in mind, for example, if we select the window that says southwest, okay, sorry, this one. For example, the window on the corner on the southwest, just remember that this is this diagram. We have this amount of light. The next time we see this diagram will be much different because we're going to add some shading. So how are we going to add this shading? We're not going to model it. It's very simple. We just need to turn on that layer. So there's one icon here below the 3D window that is shows, when you hover it, says layer settings. So it's this little icon here. We have the scale, and next to it we have this little icon that is like a few papers, okay, like the layer symbol. Then we click on this. The layer menu opens, and I just want you to turn on this layer that is off. It's the only layer that we have off in this project, which says finish wall. So we turn this one on. So we need to select it, and you see that we have all these eyes open, means that the layer is on. I would just select the finish wall and open the eye. Click the eye so it's open, so the layer is on. And once we have done that, we just click OK. And then these very simple, basic shading devices have been turned on, and they're going to protect the solar, the impact of the sun on our glaze. So what I'm going to do now is going to select all the windows and doors, and I'm going to update this. As I was saying, because it's going to take a few minutes while it updates, I'm going to jump into the next exercise. Okay, so we're going to leave the machine doing the analysis, and we're going to work on the same on the next project. Okay, so select all the windows and doors. In the column that says solar analysis, you will find this little tiny arrow here on the top. Here was the button that we opened before to open the openings insulation values. But I want you to open in this little arrow that we were showing the analysis. But instead of opening analysis, I want you to recalculate. Okay, so we're going to click in recalculate. And now ArchiCAD is going to start calculating and is running the calculation. So we're going to leave it to it. Okay. And now, before we do the last energy analysis that we will see later, we're going to jump into the next exercise, which is why I asked you to open the other project, which is the small house. So the small house, just to finish, we're going to do just two things. Okay. We're going to run an energy analysis of the house as it is. And then we're going to see the difference when we upgrade the construction of the roof and the windows. Okay. So exactly in the same way we did before. So if I go to the other project that we open, again, if I just navigate through it, I have also opened this window, which, as I mentioned to you before, you can go to Window, Palettes, Energy Model Review, open it. And then here we have 3 thermal blocks, which is 3 types of spaces. So let's click on the thermal block visualization system. If I click on residential, we have all these rooms, all these spaces in our project that have the residential profile with this type of energy. Okay. And if I click on sanitary, we have 2 bathrooms that you can see here, and we have 1 kitchen. Okay. The only thing is that in order to perform the energy analysis, there is one thing we need to do in this project that, like this, you also can modify some of these settings. Is I want to change the supply system of cooling. I want to change how the cooling system is performed, because the heating is by a heating system. Okay, that if we click on it, it will show that this heating system, okay, here is not a boiler, it's not a wall-mounted gas, it's just a heating, very, very basic, okay? We go to cooling system. Even we can just do double click on this cooling system. It says not yet specified. So I want you to select the option that says district cooling. The energy source of the district cooling is electricity 100%, okay? But again, the program is also calculating how much energy do we need to activate all that grid. So the energy that is needed on the source to then provide the energy that is needed to cool down our space. So just select the district cooling. Okay, we can do it again here in this menu. I select residential, sanitary, or kitchen, doesn't matter because they have the same systems. So if I select cooling and I do double click, in this menu that appears, just select district cooling. Okay, it's the only thing you need to do. So we press OK. And now we select on the refresh button, update all the zones. And when this menu appears, and I just click on this button on the bottom that says update all zones, here, many more zones than before are updated, because these are all the spaces that we have in this project, which are much more than what we have in the previous one. It was only one. So the zones are updated. And now we're going to update energy model review. So this might take a few seconds, you can see, but very fast. And now we're going to start the energy simulation. So in this case, because it's a larger project with more complexity, it takes, again, a few seconds, but it's not much.
Maybe for, can you still move your screen? Because I see Winston has the questions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Before we, because we still have around five minutes or so. So maybe let's answer some of the questions from the floor. So sure. Winston has a question for you, which asking for the daily profile editor. Is there a way to input actual lighting plan as supposed to use the W/meter square average?
Let me see 1 second. Let me get this guy to finish. How to add? Sorry, it's just I don't know how to see the questions from my menu. What is the question exactly? Sorry, can you repeat it?
So in the daily profile editor, is there a way to input the actual lighting plan as opposed to use the
Yes, you can input 1 second. Let me save
per
this.
meter square?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me go into the menu so we can see better. Okay, I'll just put here house, just to save this. Okay, 1 second, and save this report. So, okay, we were looking at the, sorry, in this, it was about the, in the operational profiles, was about the light system, you were saying. Is it what the question is about?
Actual lighting plan.
The actual lighting plan. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the lighting of this is an average calculation. We can do custom. Yeah. Okay, maybe in order to be custom, you can input, of course, you can have your layout of the lighting plan, but you need to input the value of the power that the lighting is using to understand the energy consumption of the light. So this is just an average of watts per square meter. But of course, in your project, you could calculate which are the watts of per square meter of the lighting system that you have designed. So in that sense, these are just predefined ones. But what I believe is like the thing here would say put custom and just put this value manually. But of course, I think that the calculation of the energy necessary to use with the lighting that we design needs to be calculated separately. But I think it shouldn't be that hard because the power per square meter is just to calculate the total power of the lighting we're choosing divided by the square meter. So I believe that that's the value we need to input here. Okay. And then, of course, equipment. Yeah, I think that maybe because it goes into a lot of detail, we need to input manually. Equipment, of course, if you think about it, it will be even more relevant than the lighting because it will be, washing machine, I don't know, a hair dryer, I don't know, charging elements. So this is something that if we want to be very accurate, we need to accurately input it.
Okay, so we need to figure out the data, then put it in manually.
Yeah, and then it will be inside the calculation. Once you put the value consumption, it will be, yeah, exactly.
I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah. Anyway, as Winston know, I'm really happy always to keep the conversation afterwards. Again, this is 1 hour workshop and I wanted to show more than in detail how it works, the important thing is to see the results. So I think these questions are relevant. It's just in order to show how it works, you will need a bit more time. But anyway, if there is any question, please go ahead. If not, I'm just gonna do the last thing, which was, I did the calculation of the energy supply for the house as it is, which it has a requirement of 31 something thousand kilowatts per hour per annum, okay, during the year. And the only thing I wanted to do here now is to select all the openings of this project and improve the opening, the insulation quality. Okay, so go again to a triple glazing, super high quality, ultimate frame wood. So those values are much better in terms of insulation. Okay, the U values have improved. And the other thing, as I did before in the other project, was to select, for example, the roof, which if we open the cutting planes in 3D here, it's a simple concrete roof with a simple concrete parapet. But if I select this roof and I say, okay, I want this roof to be a composite with a thick insulation. Oops, 1 second. A thick insulation, okay, so it's going to behave better throughout the year. And then these parapets, I want them also to be a better construction system. So you will see that also, the insulation goes around the structure. Of course, we haven't finished here the top of the parapet, but anyway, this ventilation chamber is just to ventilate the space. So it's very rough, but again, the more you can see here that these elements are not totally defined. So of course, the more we define, we go in detail and we tweak the construction details by playing with the building materials, the more accurate this analysis will be. But I wanted to show just if we improve certain elements, and I now update the zones and I update the energy model review, and we just do a last energy simulation, we will see the results. So I don't know if while we were talking in this little house, yeah, I think this, you can see now that the solar analysis was done. So if I click in any of these windows, for example, the one that was southwest, this one that we had before, we opened the analysis. I don't know if you remember, but before the shading, we had much more orange color on this diagram, meaning that there was more hours of sun every day impacting. I think the interesting thing of this analysis, the other project already finished, but the interesting thing of this analysis, okay, 1 second. Sorry, let me save the one we did for the house so we can talk about it in a moment. Okay. So here is that even if I put a tree, okay, put an object in front of the window, it will affect the solar analysis. So ArchiCAD will have in consideration any obstacle. Okay, so I think that makes the analysis of the solar impact of the sun impact on the window very accurate. And if we click in this icon, we will see that the amount of hours per the year and also the value of the kilowatts per hour that we get by this just for the sun impacting on the window is much lower. Okay, so we can go into the details of how the solar gain. So if we do the last energy evaluation on this project, the energy simulation, we will see that the values have improved. Probably not a lot, but they will have improved quite. So if we go to the last one of that we did on the box, which is the number 3, it was 8,371, and now we have 5,600. Okay, which is quite a lot of improvement. Okay, just by changing the glazing system and the shading. And to compare the last analysis that we did in the house, this was with the one we did on the beginning, 31,500 more or less. Once we changed the quality of the insulation of the windows and the roof, we got into a value that is already less than 21,000. So we improve in a 30% the energy consumption of the project just by changing the way we build it. Okay, and this is everything I wanted just to share about the second exercise. And yeah, I think that maybe we have overstepped a bit on the time, but you guys, I mean, this is my email. Okay, so if anybody wants to learn a bit more about the energy evaluation or anything related with ArchiCAD, you can just, guys, contact me.
I can see Winston has one question. I don't know if it takes you long to answer. So maybe this is the last question before we end. So he's asking, does changing the glass in the energy modeler also updated the glass material in the model? For example, is this a two-way change or is it a standalone simulation?
Yeah, so I think that what you mean is like, you can see on the model, on the 3D model, those values. So ArchiCAD is not reflecting 100% in detail one-to-one how this window is built. Okay, so these values, let's say that is information inside the model, but it's not correlated, meaning that if I want to take a detail of the window or of the product that I am using for the energy values, I will have also to update this 3D. Right now, this is a generic window. Okay, that what I'm doing is that simulating what if this window had those high quality values or low transmission values. So it's not correlated. It's not that it's changing the glazing. We want to change the glazing of the frames. We need to do it by creating another object. So we're just changing the data. I don't know if that answers the question.
I guess there's lots of different combination you can edit and add to this simulation system, right? And it takes practice, and maybe there are more questions once we get on to using the software. But I think the time now is a bit limited. So as you see that, like, Gino leave his contact at the end, so maybe people can mark it down and write down his email and contact, and you guys can email him or through us, through AIA or Reba. Then we can forward your questions to him and he'll get back to you. So let's wrap up here, and thank you all for attending. And the next session on this Thursday, same time at 7:30, is going to be the BIM 100 click, right? So it will be teaching you how to use ArchiCAD from scratch. And hope you guys enjoy this session, and see you guys in the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, Viv.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.